what I've noticed with my learners is that they struggle to find adjectives to use other than good. So this is a segment we call words to use instead of good. And today's word is a great adjective to use, and it's especially fitting for tonight's show. And this word is laudable. Laudable. Able to laud. And this means deserving to be praised, admired, or commended. And I'll give you an example. The student's effort was laudable. Okay? They didn't pass the big exam with the score they wanted, but they got a pretty good score. But the most impressive thing was they made a great effort. And that effort is laudable. Okay? It was a laudable, we can use a noun here now, achievement. It was a laudable achievement. It's an achievement that we should praise. We should give an award for. We should admire. This word here, commended, usually involves things like awards. Or, for example, in the Olympic Games, the athletes that win are commended with a medal. Not just praised and admired, they're actually commended. When you finish school, you might get a certificate or a diploma. Joining the show also is Kumiko. Kumiko from Japan. Hello, welcome to the show, Kumiko. So what I'd like you guys to do now is try to make a sentence in the comment thread using this adjective, laudable. Deserving to be praised, admired, or commended. In my example, the student's effort was laudable. It was a laudable achievement. You could even say the student was laudable, right? If you admire and praise that student. So you guys, your turn now. I want you guys to make sentences using the adjective laudable. Let's see what you can come up with and we'll take a look. Juan Paradon is joining the show. Juan is in Mexico, I think. We have Iraq Ali joining from India. Welcome to the show. Guys, if you're just joining the show, please say hello and tell us where you're watching from. Want to know where everyone is. So far, we've got Japan in the house. We've got the moon. Bargain Betty lives on the moon, or so she says. We have Iraq Ali from India and Juan Paradon, who I think is from Mexico. Mexico. Who else is joining us? Kumiko is with us from Japan, and so is Wako from Japan. Okay, Yoshishige says, it's kind of difficult to pronounce laudable because it's new to me. That's a good insight, Yoshishige. Everything is difficult when it's new. But when you practice it, it becomes easy. Okay, so it may be difficult for you, but try. Laudable, laudable, laudable. We have Jasmine joining us. Jasmine, where are you watching from? I think this is the first time you've joined the show, so please tell us where you're watching from, what country you're in. We'll get a sense of our little community here. The hard-boiled English community. We have Japan in the house, we have Mexico, we have India joining us. Jasmine Kindness Wali, where are you from? And we're introducing a vocabulary of the day, laudable, and I want you guys to make sentences with this word, so give it a try. We have Roni joining us from Bangladesh. Welcome to the show, Roni. Jasmine's in the US. Okay, welcome. Great to have our American sisters and brothers with us. New Hampshire, okay, very nice part of the country. I grew up in Toronto, Canada, which is towards the east, a little bit closer to New Hampshire than where I am now. but I've been through New Hampshire. It's a nice area. Okay. So guys, let's see your sentence examples using the adjective laudable. Here are my two examples. The student's effort was laudable. It was a laudable achievement. Remember, this is an adjective that means something, a thing, a noun, is deserving to be praised, admired, or commended. So you get the sense that usually it's referring to a person, like the student was laudable. We have Tapan joining us from Bangladesh. Welcome, Tapan. It's great to see everyone in all their different countries with us. It always amazes me the wide viewership we get for this show. It's just fantastic. Of course, you know, in a dream world, we'd have millions of viewers, maybe someday. But more importantly is the variety of countries that are watching. That really excites me. Okay, Jasmine's got an example here. Paul is very laudable due to his hard work in teaching his English class. Okay, good example. Thank you very much. Paul is very laudable due to his hard work. Okay, so laudable adjective is describing Paul. We're using this as an adjective, a subject complement. The adjective, Paul is laudable. We have Muffer Dillman joining us. And Muffer, I believe, is in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. So we have another friend from Mexico. So Jasmine says, I was scrolling down my news feed and saw this, so I figured I would watch. Well, welcome. I take it, Jasmine, that you're not an English learner like most of our viewers are, but everyone's welcome here. We have Osong joining us, watching from Cameroon. Wow, that's awesome. Osong, welcome to the show. It's so great to have people from your part of the world with us. We have Japan, we have India, we have the moon. Now we have Cameroon. We have Mexico, we have the US. Lots of people from lots of places. We have Saki joining us, Saki Fuji. Saki, I think, is in Canada, but originally from Japan. We have Marl. It's Luz from Mexico. Great. Welcome to the show, Luz. So guys, we're trying to use this adjective, laudable, which means deserving to be praised, admired, or commended. And here's my example sentence. The student's effort was laudable. It was a laudable achievement. So I want you guys to write a sentence in the comment box and try this adjective. Every week, we try a new adjective that we can use to describe something positively instead of just using good all the time, right? I could easily substitute. I could say, the student's effort was good. It was a good achievement. That's boring, man. Laudable is not only more interesting, it's also very specific. It's not just good, it's good for a reason. It's good because that achievement was deserving to be praised, admired, or commended. So guys, please give me a sentence. Try it out. It's not a test, so no one's going to get a right or wrong answer or a score. Just let's try. It might be tricky. It might be difficult because maybe the word is new, but that's called learning, right? You introduce something new that you've never seen before. You're not sure how to use it. You got to try. Otherwise, you do not learn. And that's what we're all about here at Hard Boiled English. We're all about doing the hard work that's required to learn a new language. It's not easy. Of course not. And I'm not going to tell you that there's a magic, easy formula. There isn't. It's hard work. It's trying new words like this. Okay, Osong says, an adjective is to describe the work. Well, an adjective can describe any noun. And a noun can be a person, it can be a place, it can be a thing. And by the way, things can be objects, but they can also be ideas, like happiness, love, education. These aren't objects. These are nouns that represent ideas or concepts. But laudable can describe any of those things. Okay, Jasmine has a nice one here. Let's see. The president's speech was laudable in the fact that he got a standing ovation. That's great. So after the president made the speech, he was not only praised and admired, which is kind of our feeling, but he was commended with some action. Applause, right? Clapping. Where am I here? Applause is a kind of commendation. In fact, guys, if you look closely, look inside this word. Law. It's built from the verb to laud, which means to commend. Nadim's with us. Nadim Solongi, where are you from again? Where are you watching from? Nadim says, your effort is laudable to bring new things. Okay. We could also say, Nadim, we could also say, bringing new things is laudable. The action of bringing new things is laudable. Iraq says, you are looking so charming and your pronunciation and method of teaching is outstanding. You are really laudable. Oh, okay. Very nice. You are really laudable. Thank you. Who else is with us? Jasmine's got another one. Connecting with people is a laudable aspect in life because it leads to opportunities and maybe even dreams coming true. Absolutely. Jasmine, you're new to this show, but those who are regular viewers know what my dream is. My dream is to help language learners, English learners around the world connect and improve their English skills so we can all communicate together, learn from each other, understand each other, respect each other, and make our peaceful future. That's my dream. Okay, Osong says, my sister, after burning the midnight candle, she succeeded her exams with a laudable applause. Okay, wow. Great sentence. Okay, Nadim is in Pakistan. Welcome to the show. So we've got all kinds of countries joining us today. Fantastic. Okay, guys, we're going to finish up with our vocabulary of the day. Laudable, thank you very much. New word for you guys. Try it out. Use it. I'm going to clear the board with my magic formula. And I'm going to answer a question that was sent to me earlier in the week. And the first question is, let's see, what do we have? What's the first one in the order? Yeah. Okay, so one of our friends of the show sent me a message saying, what does this mean, teacher? He gave me a questioning look. So let's go to the board and break it down. He gave me a questioning look. Well, let's do two things here so we can learn something. That pen is no good. Let's try another one. Usually at the right side of the board, we fade out in our light a little bit. How's that? A questioning, that's the important part. Questioning look. Okay. Well, first of all, what it means is somebody, he, gave me a look. A look is like a facial expression, a certain expression. Paul gave the camera a look, right? People can give you all different types of look. A happy look, I know that's strange. A sad look, right? Maybe an angry look. Different kinds of looks means facial expression. Questioning means the gesture or the expression is kind of like asking a question, right? Maybe it's sort of sometimes on our poster for the show, I have a questioning look like, what the heck does that mean? Right? It means you have a question on your mind or you're wondering something. So that's what a questioning look means. But I also want to look at the sentence structure and identify the pattern of what's going on here so that maybe we can use this on our own in the future. So as always, I like to break it down to the basic parts. And here we have a subject, right? He. We have a verb, gave, and it's past tense. So he gave me. So now I'm the object, right? In fact, I'm the direct object. Actually, no, sorry. I am the indirect object. And what did he give me? Did he give me a pen? Did he give me a cloth? No. He gave me a look. And because we have two objects, we can actually... The look is the thing he gave me. So we could actually switch them and say he gave a questioning look to me. So he gave the look to me. But that's a secondary idea here. The real question is, what the heck is this? What the heck is questioning? Well, it's what we call a participle adjective. It's basically the ing form of a verb or a gerund. It's not a verb anymore, though. Okay? The ing form of the verb is only a verb when you have a be verb in front of it, like I am standing. That's the only time it's a verb. You take that be verb away, and you're left with this. Now it's a gerund, and a gerund is a noun. And we can use nouns as adjectives if we put them in front of another noun. So this is really like saying a noun and a noun. So what kind of look? The participle adjective tells us what kind or what type of look that is. Okay? And this is a very common structure to have an ing, gerund, or participle adjective, same thing really, modifying or describing a noun. Okay, I'll give you some other examples. He gave me, let's say, an exciting look. Interesting look. Or I saw an interesting movie. Never mind look. We can use any noun over here. Interesting movie. ing, participle, noun. Interesting movie, exciting look, or exciting concert, right? Exciting person, interesting person, right? Very common structure in English. We use this all the time, and you should try using it. You know, when students are learning about adjectives, they learn a lot of adjectives like good, bad, slow, fast, happy, sad. But there's a whole range of things we can use as adjectives. We've talked about this on the show many times, so if you really want to learn more about it, go back to some earlier episodes where we talk about noun plus noun structure. We can use ing, gerunds, in front of nouns, and this becomes like an adjective. It functions as an adjective. We can also just use plain nouns like my favorite, coffee, cup. Coffee is a noun, cup is a noun. Water bottle, water's a noun, bottle's a noun. We have this structure all over the place. But this is a very common structure. I'm sure you've heard the word interesting, right? Interesting is an adjective, a participle adjective. It goes in front of a noun and acts like an adjective. That's an interesting movie. Okay? Osong has a good point here. Osong says, a questioning look can be facial and doubting what's happening. Absolutely. So if you said something to me and I wasn't sure, like it could be unclear to me, or if I doubt it, like, well, I don't know if that's a fact. That's a questioning look. It's a look that's asking you, without words, asking you to clarify or to confirm what you're saying, right? Okay. So hopefully that clears that up. Participle adjective. And you know, guys, I'm not a stickler for terminology, rules, because I think the English language is so irregular and so flexible, it doesn't help you to learn a bunch of rules and just try to stick to them, because the language doesn't follow its own rules. It's better to understand patterns. The only reason I would tell you the name of this structure, this participle adjective, so you can look it up if you want to learn more. That's where terms are useful. Now you've been introduced to this participle adjective topic, you can go learn more about it by, searching participle adjective or looking in your grammar book under participle adjective, right? That's the only use these terms have. It's a way of indexing or referring to something. So we can talk to each other about it. As a learner, is it useful? A little bit. Like I said, you can pursue that topic and learn more about it. Does it help you make that sentence? Maybe not. What does help you make that sentence is understanding what it's doing. What is the pattern of meaning? And like I said, this is telling us what type or what kind of noun this is, right? It's a questioning look, right? Interesting movie, interesting person. I met an interesting classmate. We can put other INGs here, like fascinating. Fascinating topic. Adjectives are a fascinating topic. I think so. I think adjectives are very fascinating. Here's a nice one. Scintillating. Scintillating. Scintillating song. Scintillating, hot, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, scintillating, fantastic. So there's lots of ways to use this structure. So now you should try it, right? Try it when you're using your English. We have another friend joining the show, Khalid, and Paula. And where are you from, guys? Tell me what country you're in. We also have Satoru and Juan from Argentina and Khalid. Please tell me where you're watching from, because it's fun to get to know where our community is. We've got people from all over the place watching tonight. It's fantastic. Okay, guys, I think I've got time for one more question. So let me clear the board again. And by the way, don't worry if this has gone too fast for you. After the show, I post these recordings on Facebook and on the YouTube channel, Hard Boiled English with Teacher Paul. So by the way, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. And you can see the whole show again in its full recording. Plus, I add things like links to other topics I've referred to or other videos. So if you're new to this, guys, thank you for joining. And find my YouTube channel, Hard Boiled English with Teacher Paul, or find me all over the place at social media, on social media at Hard Boiled English. Okay, we're going to go to another question, which was sent to me earlier in the week. And that's the other thing, guys. If you have questions, and maybe you're not sure even if you can join the show, send me your questions. You can send them to my email address. You can connect to me on social media at Hard Boiled English. You can go to the YouTube channel and write comments. Hey, we have Carlos joining us from Colombia. We have Henry from China. Fantastic. We have AK Azad from Bangladesh. We also have Uncle Catty. Oh, that's Henry from China. Fantastic. Great to have China in the house. Okay, guys. Let's see here. Oh, we also have... Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, one more question. I think we have time for it. Oh, by the way, we have Paula in the house. Paula was a guest on the show 3 episodes back, so you can see her interview there. Oh, we have Jay from Korea. Jay's with us. Fantastic. Let's see. I just saw a question there from Juan. Okay. Okay, chemist, butcher. Okay, so he's asking, should we pronounce it butcher, like shop, chemist store, or apostrophe S or no apostrophe S? I think that's the question. And really the answer is there's 2 possibilities. You can do both. The meaning is slightly different. For example, if you ask me, hey, what's for dinner? And I said, oh, let's get some meat and have a barbecue. Okay, let's go to the butcher shop. So the emphasis here is on the shop. We have to go to a butcher shop or the butcher shop, meaning any butcher shop is fine, right? And it doesn't matter about the butcher. We're not focusing on the butcher, we're focusing on the shop. And in this case, this is one of those noun plus noun structures. This noun is acting like an adjective. It's telling us what type of shop. And it's pretty clear we're talking about a type of shop. We're not focusing on the person, okay? However, there's another way to say this. If you live in a community and you have a butcher shop in your community, and you know the guy or the woman who cuts the meat, and that butcher, you know that person, and then we can change this and say, hey, let's go to the butcher's shop. And now the point of emphasis is the butcher, because the other person you're talking to knows who you're talking to about, right? Oh, the butchers. So the emphasis here is on the fact that your friend, the butcher, let's say Butcher Bob, owns a shop, but the focus here is on the person because you're expressing possession, right? And a person possesses the shop. So they're both possible, but there's a slightly different focus. If you're just talking about the type of shop, and you're not talking about a specific person who owns a shop, just say, let's go to and it's also possible to say the butcher shop. This is a very, very common expression in English, noun plus noun. I actually have a video on my website in my web series, English Weirdness. And that video is entirely about, let's pop up English Weirdness. So look for English Weirdness, guys. It's my main web series. And there's an episode in there called Using Nouns as Adjectives. The whole thing is about using nouns as adjectives. When to use a noun as an adjective and when to use possessive. Okay? So again, when you use possessive, you're emphasizing the person who owns the store. You're not emphasizing the store. In fact, some people would even just say, hey, let's go to the butcher, right? Your friend knows you're not going to the butcher's house, right? You're going to the butcher's shop, so we don't even need to say it. But they're both grammatically possible, right? They just point to a slightly different emphasis. Guys, I'm expecting a guest on the show today, so I'm just going to put a quick message out, so forgive me if I'm rude. Let's see, what do we have here? I want to say hello also to Wilson from Ecuador. Wilson's with us. Who else has joined us? Facebook user. Nice to meet you, Paul Duke. Well, nice to meet you too, and I don't know what your name is. Tell me your name and where you're watching from. It's great to see where everyone's watching from. Facebook user, it looks like you're watching from a Facebook group. When you're on a Facebook group, I can't quite see you, I think. But if you watch from YouTube or my profile, I can see your full name. Okay. Oh, we've also got Hassan. Oh, it's Hassan from Bangladesh. Welcome to the show, Hassan. Okay. Uncle Kati, okay. Just going to put another message out there, guys. Give me one moment. This often happens. Okay. Henry has a question? Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's pop Henry's question up here. I'm going to clear the board from our last question. And then we'll answer Henry's question. Now, Henry's asking, can we omit the conjunction that in a dependent sentence? Okay, first of all, That isn't a conjunction. Okay, it's a relative pronoun. And if I'm not mistaken, I have an idea what you mean, but if you can give me an example, that'd be best. Can you write a sentence example? Oh, we have Tirath joining us from Nepal. Hi, Tirath. Tirath is a regular viewer and friend of the show and friend of mine. He's also an English teacher in Nepal. And as we've said very often, Nepal is on the other side of the world from where I am. So it's fantastic to see where you're all from, guys. So yeah, Henry, if you can give me an example sentence, we can break it down for you. That's really helpful. Okay, I don't see. Okay, I'll write a sentence, Henry, and you tell me if this is what you're talking about. Okay. Paul watched the movie that was on TV. Something like that, right? Paul watched the movie that was on TV. Henry, is that the type of sentence you're talking about? Paul watched the movie that was on TV. And you want to know the rules about dropping that, right? Just give me a yes or no there. Oh, we have another friend from Nepal joining us. Devraj, I think. Devraj Lohar. Okay, Henry, good. Okay, now we're on to something. So let's break this down for you. This is what we call an adjective clause or a relative clause. Okay, so you have your main subject, your main verb, then you have an object, and now you're connecting a sentence or a clause that describes the movie that was on TV. Okay? Now, this is a clause, and a clause is made of a subject and a verb. Okay? And an adjective clause is a clause acting as an adjective to describe the noun. So it's acting as an adjective and it's describing the noun. But it has to have a subject and a verb. That's important to know. We do have one. We have a verb, was, and this is our subject. This is what we call the relative pronoun. It's the connector. It's not really a conjunction, but it does connect. So this is a relative pronoun, but it's also acting as the subject for this clause. So now we have a clause. Well, guess what? If we cut that out, Henry, are you with me? Henry, if we cut this out, we no longer have a subject. We just have a verb. And if we don't have a subject, we don't have a clause. Now this whole thing is nonsense. It's garbage. Now you have Paul watched the movie was on TV. That's weird. Okay? Because now we have no clause here. A clause, subject and a verb, is the basic unit of meaning in English. And it can just be a subject and a verb, like I run. It's my hobby. I run. It's a complete idea. But if I just say run, that's not really a complete idea. So we need a subject. So the rule is, if you don't have a subject and that has to do the job of the subject, you got to keep it. However, not all adjective clauses are built like that. Let me show you an alternative structure. I'm just going to move the sentence over because I need more room. I'm going to rebuild it here, Henry. Stay with me. Okay. Paul, are we on the board? Yep. Paul watched the movie that. So now we know we're connecting an adjective clause to describe the movie. That Henry suggested to him. So Paul and Henry are classmates, and Henry said, "Hey, Paul, you should watch this movie. It's awesome." Okay? And Paul said, "Okay, sure." And then on the weekend, Paul watched the movie. He watched the movie that... Which movie? Which movie? That Henry suggested to him. That movie. Okay? So that adjective clause tells us which movie. It describes the movie. So what do we have? We have a subject, we have a verb, we have an object. And the adjective clause is describing the object. Okay, but look closely at what we have inside the adjective clause. What do we have? Well, we have our that, then we have Henry suggested. Where's our verb? Well, our verb is suggested. Then what the hell's that? Well, that's a subject, right? And here's our relative pronoun, which is also used as a subject, but now we have two subjects. Do we need two subjects? Not in English. In English, you just need one, right? To make a clause, you need one subject. You've got to have one, but you certainly don't need two. So the rule here is, if you have another word as the subject, another noun that did that action, you don't need this because you still have a subject. So now we can drop that. You can keep it. It's a choice. You can keep it, but generally in speech, specifically, because we like to talk fast, especially to give our partner a chance to speak, we drop this in speech, but only if you have a subject here. If you don't have another subject, we need that to be the subject, right? So it all depends what comes after that, Henry. If you have a subject over here with the verb, you have a complete clause. You don't need that. You can have it. It's like glue, but you don't need it, so you can drop it. Okay? Paul watched the movie. Henry suggested to him. Paul watched the movie. Henry suggested to him. Paul watched the movie. Henry suggested to him. That's a complete idea. Hopefully that clears it up for you. Okay, so we have some other folks to say hi to. We have Anaf from Bangladesh. Who else is joining us? Uncle Catty. So Uncle Catty is Henry, I think. Great. Thanks for watching, Henry. Okay, let's go to the captions. I've got one more question in the bank that I promised I would answer. So let's pull that one up. Something about as young as. Okay, I'm just going to clear the board, guys. Isn't it cool how the music plays when I clear the board? Like it's some kind of music video. Maybe I should clear the board like in some movie cool guy way, like slow motion. Look how he clears that board. How cool it sounds with that music. Like some kind of dramatic movie. That's ridiculous. I'm ridiculous. And that's okay. Okay, guys. We have a question here sent in to me by one of our friends. And he's asking, what does as young as mean? And how do we use it? So there's two questions here. One is, what does it mean? What's the meaning? And how do we use it? That's a grammatical question. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to flesh it out and make it into a sentence. Let me just get a fresh pen. Let's say the students in the class were as young as 20. Okay? As young as 20. What does that mean? So we're talking about the students in the class. What were they? They were as young as 20. What this means is there's a lot of students. Some of them are 30. Some of them are 35. These are adult students. Some of them are 25. Some of them are 20. It's the lowest number. So the range, I suppose if we filled up the sentence to really clarify the meaning, we'd be saying the range of ages is as young as 20, but the range of ages is also as old as 35. The range, the variety. It's a way of expressing a limit. As young as 20. So now we know the low limit of the age of the students. The students in the class were as young as 20 and as old as 35. Okay? It doesn't tell us how many students were 20. It could be just one, could be two, it could be five, but that's the lowest age. Okay, so that's a way of referring to or talking about the limit of a range of something. It doesn't have to be age. Here we're using the adjective young, and that's the key to this grammar. We're using an adjective. It could be anything. We could say old. We're as old as 20. In that case, the range would be like 20, 19, 18, 16, and 20 would be the old range limit. Okay, but we can also use this to talk about any adjective. The students were in the class were as funny as clowns. I don't know. Funny as clowns. So now we're expressing similarity. This adjective, they're as funny as this noun. Okay? We could also make a sentence like, the singer was as loud as a I don't know. Loud as a bird? I don't know. Where I live in the morning, we can hear very loud birds. So I'm thinking about a bird. I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid example. But loud is the adjective. And we're comparing it to the sound of a bird. And the bird is a noun. So the singer was as loud as a bird. So this is a type of simile, which is a poetic language feature that makes one thing similar to another. What are we saying? We're saying that the singer is similar to a bird. Right? There's a similarity there. How? I mean, what similarity? Well, as loud as the bird. That's the nature of the similarity. Right? So hopefully that clears that up. You have anyone else with a question? Well, Juan's asking a question. Juan Unknown, you're in Argentina, right? Where's Juan? Yep, okay. Let me just clear the board and we'll talk about politics. Now, this is not a political show, guys. This is a language show. But you know what? We use language to talk about things. So I'm happy to talk about things. And maybe we can find a way to pull out some language examples from talking about something like this. So Juan is asking, what kind of government Canada has? Is it still linked to England anyhow? Just out of curiosity. Okay, great question. Canada was originally formed as a colony of the United Kingdom of Britain. Britain, basically 200-300 years ago, came to Canada, saw lots of trees, lots of water, lots of resources, and said, let's take that. So they colonized the country. It's a bit of a dark history because the native indigenous people that were here, the so-called Indians or the natives, were devastated by the colonialists. A lot of terrible things happened. That's a dark part of Canada's history that we're still learning about. So the British took the country by force. Let's call it what it is. However, over time, a government was set up, a society grew, an economy developed, and it was a long process, but through the 60s and 70s and into the 80s, Canada eventually pulled away from the United Kingdom. Now, we were confederated as a country about 150 years ago, became a separate country, but it was still a part of the British Commonwealth, like a lot of countries were. The government controlled the country on its own, but it still had a relationship with the Queen. There still was really a part of the British Empire. In the 20th century, though, the British Empire shrunk. Independence movements around the world popped up. Independence in India, Bangladesh, places like that said, "Get out of here, British, we don't want you." The people in Canada said the same thing without doing a revolution, because the people in Canada were basically British people for the most part. Now, there's a lot of diversity in Canada, always has been, but the majority were British people transplanted here. So they didn't have a violent revolution. They just said, hey, it's time for us to run our own country. Plus, we're far away. And Canada's a big country, so it needs to run itself. And it wasn't until really the 1980s that Canada achieved real 100% independence by pulling its constitution document from Britain to Canada. However, if you have visited Canada, you will notice Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England, she's on our money, right? And some places like government offices, there's her picture on the wall. So it's easy to assume that we're still part of Britain. It's a little strange to see that. And then for me to say Canada is a democracy, it's a parliamentary democracy. The system of government is parliamentary democracy. It's designed based on the British model, which makes it a little different than the US model. But there's still this presence of the Queen. Now, my tax money doesn't support the Queen. She pays for her own stuff, but she visits. And when she visits, our country puts her in a hotel, pays for her security, all that kind of thing. Why? She's like our grandmother. Grandmother doesn't tell me what to do. She doesn't tell me what job I can have. She doesn't tell me, what food to eat. She doesn't tell me what songs to sing. She's still my grandmother. So rather than having a complete rupture from our history with Britain, Canada decided, well, let's keep some relationship. Not a governmental relationship, not even a legal relationship. The laws in Canada grow on their own. They change on their own as the society evolves. So the laws in Canada are quite different than the laws in Britain. But Canada wanted to maintain some kind of friendship or partnership with Britain. Obviously, we have very close economic relationship. We have a very close relationship economically with the United States. We're like little brother and big brother, right? There's just no way to separate us. So that's really the relationship. There are some people in Canada, and to be honest with you, I'm one of them, that believe we should have 100% separation from the Queen. Like, I don't want her on my dollar bill. I don't want her hanging in the government office. I would prefer Canada have a complete separation, including in the symbolism of having her present everywhere. That's my personal opinion, but I'm still happy to live in Canada, and I do not feel any influence of the United Kingdom. There's basically no influence, other than cultural influence. I like British rock and roll music. The small country of England produces a lot of great music. I grew up influenced by the music, but not by much else. And certainly there's no political influence, except in terms of partnerships. Canada is partners with a lot of countries, including the UK, including the US, including all of Europe, including South American countries. So there's always influence politically between partners and economic partners. But in general, Canada is a democracy. We enjoy the same freedoms that the Americans enjoy. Some could argue even more freedoms. But it's just a little different in structure, in law, right? So are we still linked to England? Symbolically, not legally, not politically, except the way other countries are. We're members of the United Nations and so on. We're partners with Britain in that sense, but linked to England mostly in terms of symbology, right? The Queen being the symbol of the British monarchy. We are just about out of time, guys. Want to say hello to Estela from Mexico. Thanks for joining us, Estela. Actually, I'm going to go down the list and say hello to everyone. I see that there's a couple of questions outstanding, but we are out of time. And if I don't clear out of here, my camera tends to melt. So I'm going to take care of your questions next week, okay? I put them on the list. I assure you I'll address them next week's show. So thank you for joining us tonight, guys. It's always a pleasure to meet you if you're new, to see familiar names again, to have all your great questions. It's a tremendous honor for me to be with you on my live show. So I really appreciate you joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. Hardboiled English with Teacher Paul. Or find me on social media at Hardboiled English. Connect, send me questions. Let's connect. I want to say thank you to Bargain Betty from the Moon, Yoshishige from Japan, Wako from Japan, Kumiko from Japan, Juan from Mexico, Iraq from India, Jasmine from the United States, Roni from Bangladesh, Tapan from Bangladesh, Maffer from Mexico, Osong from Cameroon. Fantastic. Great to have Cameroon in the house. Saki, originally from Japan, but currently in Canada. Luz from Mexico. We had Nadim visit us from Pakistan. We had my friend Paula from Mexico. And again, Paula was on the show as a special guest 2 weeks ago. And you can see her live show interview on the YouTube channel. So find that out. She's a very interesting former student of mine. We also had Satoru with us. We had Juan from Argentina. We had Khalid, but I don't know where Khalid was from. So wherever you're from, thanks for joining us, Khalid. Carlos from Colombia, thanks for joining us. Carlos, I love your country. I visited there 2 years ago. Loved it. Too short of a visit, but I'm coming back. Henry from China. Henry, thank you so much for joining us. I don't get a lot of friends from China joining us, so great to see you here. We also had AK Azad from Bangladesh. We had Jay from Korea. Wilson, Senor Wilson from Ecuador. We had Facebook user Hassan from Bangladesh join us. Tirath, my friend in Nepal. Devraj from Nepal. Anaf from Bangladesh. Estrella from Mexico. And we have 2 questions that you submitted that I'll get to next week. Guys, I hope wherever you are, you're staying safe and healthy. Very important in these challenging times. I hope you continue learning English, study, watch videos, ask questions. Oh, Farouk, thank you. Thank you, Farouk, for subscribing to the channel. Great. If you subscribe to the channel, you get all the updates of the show when we're going live every Friday. And don't forget, guys, I host a weekly conversation cafe. It's a little different than the live show. The cafe is on Zoom. You can join in, practice your speaking. It's not a lesson. It's a conversation club. So join us. Find me on social media so you can register. It's a free event, but I do need you to register and sign up. So find me on social media and do that. If you need private lessons, I am available for private tutoring. Find me at teacherpaul.ca. What else can I tell you, guys? Yeah, wherever you are, stay safe. Keep learning English. Read, read, read. Study, study, study. There's no easy way to learn English. There's only the hard-boiled work. Okay, so don't give up. If it's challenging for you, if it's difficult, that's normal. It takes time. But just remember, ask questions. Get curious. Wonder things. And bring those questions to the show. And I'll help you get unconfused. Okay? Guys, hopefully I'll see you next Friday. Until then, stay cool.